startup ecosystem and corporate landscape will delve deeper into this dynamic collaboration.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We are about to start our panel on the global startup ecosystem and corporate landscape. And this is my first time in India and New Delhi. And just attending this event, this conference today, I can see that India is truly at the forefront of innovation. So if I may, Jyoti, I'd like to start with you. I think it would be very valuable for the audience and frankly for myself as well to hear some insights into India's evolving digital infrastructure and policies. For my clients that may potentially want to expand into India, it would be very valuable to hear.
Well, thank you. I see the audience, most of you are already renowned entrepreneurs. That's how you are in this 200 list. I was just trying to find out what you people are interested in from this panel. So I think I have been sitting here for the last 2 hours. There has been no government representative in any of the panels. So the moderator has asked me about the digital infrastructure and policies of Government of India for the expansion of digital economy. See, the goal of India, avowed goal of India is to have $1 trillion economy, digital economy by the year 2026. As all governments, now it's an era of digital economy and digital infrastructure, but over centuries, the main job of the government has been to provide great law and order, the infrastructure and taxes system for the overall growth of the country. Now, when we are talking of digital economy, it is digital infrastructure. As far as government departments are concerned, ministries are concerned, I think there are broadly 2-3 main ministries which are key drivers for this digital infrastructure. One, of course, is the Ministry of Telecommunication. The main job of that is to provide safe and affordable internet. I don't know, we have everybody, I think we have some foreign guests. As of now, India is likely to have 900 million active internet users by 2025. So these are huge numbers, right? So now this has been made, and we have the lowest internet rates in the world. So the question is, India wants to have affordable access, that is the cornerstone of digital economy. So therefore, there are different pillars. One is that providing 3G, 4G, 5G access and going to the last mile connectivity. We have I think most of you would have heard about it. There is a BharatNet where we want this kind of internet to go, affordable internet to go to the last mile. Only then you can ride on that. You see, your customer base is everywhere. So unless you have an affordable internet, so that's the first digital infrastructure government is building with its own monies and with the private partnership. The second major department is, which comes here is the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, where I have served as special advisor and special secretary and economic advisor. So one thing we are basically, one is that you give a fillip to the digital economy by providing digital platforms. So the Aadhaar, the UPI, the very well-known India stack, whether it's GEM or DigiLocker, on which you can write. Second, a major contribution is to promote digital payments. So government has supported, every year it is giving around 5,000 crores to support digital payments. The UPI network is one of the acknowledged network in the world, so on which our all these payment gateways are made. The third is, digital literacy and skill upgradation, because after all, if anybody wants everybody to be a customer in your digital footprint, so you have to have everybody participating in that. So it's whether it's a future skill program to upgrade the skills, or even going to the last mile where people are illiterate to provide digital literacy. That's another pillar on which the government works. And then driving e-governance initiatives. Throughout the country, all the departments are now interconnected. So therefore though government is also one of the biggest customers. Apart from that, there is a compute infrastructure which the government is providing. I think you must have heard about the AI mission, which is 10,000 crore of investment, the monies which are coming from the budget, from which 2,000 crores will be provided for the startups to start their AI startups, but 8,000 crore is going for the compute infrastructure, providing 10,000 GPU capacity. And then, of course, the other infrastructure on which the digital economy is based is the semiconductor ecosystem, for which you all know government has given huge subsidies to bring semiconductor ecosystem here, on which, again, the digital economy will ride. So these are the different initiatives to promote digital economy. A lot of data centers are being built by the government along with the private sector participation. And of course, the regulatory support is coming from the finance department. So I'll stop at that. So this is the kind of digital infrastructure. This is the kind of the aspiration of building that kind of an economy. It's a huge economy. I'm quoting these numbers because there are representatives from other countries who can also their startups can look at that. This is the kind of market India has. So we invite them. Of course, they will be telling you how you can go to their countries, but this is the kind of footprint we are going to have: huge demand, huge pillars on which the digital economy is being built.
Okay, thank you so much for such a detailed and insightful answer. And clearly there is a lot of support available in India to those who want to start a business in the UK or expand a business, not in the UK, in India. And we will talk a bit more about that later on. I'm really excited to hear more about your program, government program, Digital India. But now moving on to the UK. I wish it was that easy to move across countries in real life. Richard, could you tell us a bit more about the role of endorsing body in the UK startup ecosystem?
Thank you very much. Yes, I can. So if you want to come to the UK to start a business or to work in the UK, then you would clearly need some type of visa. And when we were invited to be at this event, one of my first questions was, what do the audience want? And the answer was pretty much one of two things. It's either to relocate to the UK and run their business from the UK, or it's to have presence in the UK, either through a partner or through a representative. I'm going to talk about the second bit later, but the first bit is for people who want to actually move to the UK. Now, there are a range of visa types around for you, but one of them is called the Innovator Founder Visa, which, I was discussing with Sean earlier, now encapsulates startups and existing organisations. Now, the role of an endorsing body is to advise the UK government whether that business meets the criteria to move to the UK. And the criteria is pretty much three things. It's got to be innovative, and by innovative we mean something that's substantially different to what's already present within the UK. It has to be viable, and by viable we mean there's a proposition there that would be successful, and it has to be, another word that's used greatly today, scalable. And by scalable we're talking about a business that would have international presence or employ people. So the short answer is an endorsing body advises the UK government whether an organisation meets that criteria. The one thing I should say is you may have an amazing business, but it might not fit the criteria for that route. That doesn't mean the business isn't good. It just means the rules for the Innovator Founder Visa in the UK are very, very specific, and that's something we can advise on as well as support the Home Office with applications.
Thank you very much, Richard, and you will have an opportunity to expand on some of those points later on. Sean, if I can put a similar question to you, and I can only hope to live up to your example as a moderator. So what is the role of Tree Frog as a Canadian designated organization?
Indeed. So TreeFrog actually has two sides to it. One side is we have an agency, and we've helped hundreds of companies over many decades find a new market in Canada by helping understand their market, understand their clients, etc., and do additional business in Canada. However, there's also, we are a designated organization, so similar to what the UK used to have, although it's now incorporated into other things, we have a really interesting program called the SUV program. So what happened was, as I discussed earlier in an earlier panel, many different countries realized that they needed to find other entrepreneurs in other countries to move to Canada. And Canada set up a program which would allow you to apply to go to Canada under the SUV program, go through an accelerator, which is, we have an accelerator, it's a 6-week course, and then get permanent residence almost immediately. Now that turned out, we actually, there was a study done, I think in 2022, and Canada came out as having the top SUV program in the world. And unfortunately, that meant it became incredibly popular very quickly, and we had 15,000 companies go through accelerators in a matter of a few years. And as a result, we have a backlog in the system, and that's taking a few years to go through. But if you have a spectacular company and you just want to find a new market, we're a great way to go through that. Or if you'd like to emigrate or move your business or members of your business or land people in Canada, then we also have that as part of our designated organization status.
Thank you so much. That's a great answer. So Europe is up next. If I can put the same question to Christos and Georgia, could you share some tips and information about navigating the EU business environment for non-European startups?
Thank you, Virginia. I think probably the first thing to highlight is that the European Union operates as a single market. It's often said that it rests on the 4 fundamental freedoms. That is not just the freedom of movement for persons, but most importantly for startups and businesses, the freedom to move freely within the European Union of goods, services, and capital. So setting up business in one member state is like setting up business in the whole of the European Union.
Yes, it's certainly the main point. The single market is one of the biggest opportunity for Europe. It gives you access to nearly 450 million consumers. It's the first largest market in the world. But you know, talking also to some of you, the selected 200, I was asked, you know, what do you think in the European background, before coming to Italy, but in the European background market, what do you think are the main issues? What should we focus on? What should we be more caring about when thinking about expanding in the European Union? Well, you know, first of all, I would say that in the latest years, privacy has been, so personal data protection has been one of the greatest issues that the European Union addressed, because, you know, having a single market, as Christos was saying, actually means one very important thing, which is harmonization. European Union says, okay, once you are set up, when you're established in one of our countries, in one of our member states, you are free to market your product or your service everywhere, but for the most part of the products, we want them to be under a harmonized regulation and be subject to harmonized rules. So product-specific rules and also market-specific rules, which, for example, is data protection. So one of the things that I would say that people wanting to expand to the European Union need to be most attentive about is personal data protection. Also, the other big focus that European Union is is now addressing is the environment. As you all know, Europe has a huge environmental program. We foresee to reduce CO2 emissions in the long terms. So we have, and the European Union has been introducing a lot of regulations on environmental protection. And these should definitely be taken into account. That's why I'm talking in the startup ecosystem now, because investors are more and more interested on how companies are attentive to the environment. So one more thing to say about the single market is that we have a single market, but I'm sure Christos can certify we still are 27 different countries with 27 different cultures, with 27 different market approaches. So we do have a single market, but you need to know that we are, of course, still diverse. And now I come to Italy, if I may, just for 2 minutes, because why should anybody, as Christos said, when you come to each and any of the member states, why should you are actually within the European market? Then why should you come to Italy? Well, because Italy is unique in this sense. I mean, as I said, the European Union is made up of 27 different countries, so a lot of diversity. Well, Italy is both geographically and culturally very strategic under that point of view, because all across the countries we do have different cultures, even though, of course, they are related to the being Italian, but you will find different approaches from north to south. It is a great gateway to the European Union and also to the North African market, which is great. And if I can say it, you must know that Made in Italy is apparently the third most known brand in the world. So Italy, the accuracy, the manufacturing, the quality in Italy is something that you can take from and to which you can contribute if you come to Italy. I will come to that maybe later on. I don't want to know anybody.
Is the UK in Europe anymore?
I don't want to mention that.
It's in Europe. It's certainly still in Europe. We've not moved.
Shots fired.
Still there.
Okay, Sean, you're not the moderator of this panel. Okay, thank you both very much. I think it's very inspiring for those who are thinking about expanding into EU. Back to India. Jyoti, how can startups in India align with strategic priorities here? Maybe we can talk a bit more about digital India.
You see, the priorities of government remain the same. We want technological leadership, we want inclusive growth, and we want to increase productivity. So all the startups who would like to come in keeping these three into view, if they can bring in increase in productivity, they can go to unserved areas, and they can bring in efficiencies. So they can come in any of the fields, in the social sector or in the economic sectors. There are a lot of startups which are going to the health tech, agriculture tech, edu tech, and fintech. All kind of areas are open to them, and they are actually in consonance with the strategic needs of the country. But at the same time, now government has come up with special programs to bring in startups in the core areas which are so-called strategic ministries, defense, space, AI. So dedicated funds and market access in terms of government being one of the buyers of their products is also taking place. So a lot of startups are coming into drone technology. They have, in fact, defense, a lot of startups have come in. Friends, I just want to say one thing, that the days of, every startup becoming a unicorn or dreaming about becoming a unicorn, those days are numbered. But the mid-sized startups, which can bring in productivity, increase productivity, they can fulfill market demand and also bring in efficiencies in the traditional industrial systems, are here to stay. So there is funding for that, there is need for that, and there is ecosystem also for that, and government would also like to support, because all these will ultimately lead to the growth of the economy.
Thank you so much, Judy. Richard, could you tell us about the top growing sectors in the UK? That would be
I mean, the obvious answer there is digital, but I'm always cautious about, digital's clearly a sector, but it's cross-cutting. It cross-cuts fintech, it cross-cuts medical, it cross-cuts engineering. And whilst all of these are growing sectors in the UK, there tend to be no absolutely clear standout. Digital's probably the top, but what people want in the UK is a competitive advantage. UK businesses love tech. They want a competitive advantage because there is so much competition in the UK and in the world. And the main thing for us there is clearly understanding how tech such as digital can give them that competitive advantage. So there are opportunities within every sector. I think the question that you really have to ask yourself is, do I go for a large sector where there's large scale global competition, or do I go for a niche sector where there's less competition and less of a market base? And one thing we're seeing, and we were discussing this earlier on, is the transition of business. Whereas many, many years ago, business used to be done within counties, then it expanded to within the UK. But now we're seeing more British businesses outsourcing to places like India, especially where it comes to, for example, tech, where the cost of development is significantly lower. So, I mean, the opportunities go both ways. There are opportunities to move to Britain and build a business, to sell into Britain, but also to outsource. So, digital's massive, but we're pretty much present in most of the major sectors, maybe medtech as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great answers, excellent points there. Sean, I have a similar question for you. What are the top growing sectors in Canada?
The top growing sectors in Canada. You know, I see a theme here, which is the sort of gateway. We've got a gateway through Italy, you've got a gateway through UK, and you've got a gateway through Canada. And I think the sector discussion really deserves the concept of Canada being a gateway, as discussed earlier on the panel, to United States and Mexico and even Latin America. And so you'll see that there are great places to get to start your market or break into a market, and then take that to other countries. So that's really, I think, a great question here. And as far as really Canada's open for anything. The reality is, same as UK is saying on digital side, obviously everything from agriculture. Canada's an incredibly large country with everything from mining to technology, etc. We have some significant technology hubs and arts hubs in Toronto and Vancouver and other cities across Canada. And so there's all sorts of amazing opportunity across all sectors, I'm going to say, especially from Indian technology, Indian startups from every aspect of life are relevant.
I think that's very encouraging for those who are thinking about starting a business in Canada. Thank you very much. Back to Europe. Again, if I can put this question to you both, guys, could you take us through the process of setting up a regional base in your respective countries, so Cyprus and Italy?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Now, Cyprus has a unique position that is both an English common law jurisdiction within the EU, but also offering a very attractive ecosystem of combination of taxation and incentives for foreign companies to set up operations locally. I mentioned, of course, the English legal system background because this is relevant to India. To give you an example, our contract law, as was adopted back in 1960 at the time of the independence, was a complete transposition of the Indian contract law, which was taken verbatim, copy-paste, and inserted into our legal system. As a country, we do not distinguish between foreign-controlled companies and local companies, they all benefit from a very attractive tax system, which on one hand taxes corporate profits at 12.5%, and at the same time, and this is very important for startups, and it applies to everyone, there is no capital gains tax from the disposal of shares. So if you set up your gateway into Europe in Cyprus and you create your startups through locally based SPVs that after they become successful, you decide to sell them off, you will not be subject to any further taxation. Similarly, dividends flowing from such subsidiaries, if they are between Cyprus to its parent, also located in Cyprus, they will be without any dividends, any tax on dividends. There are no withholding taxes from payments of dividends flowing out of Cyprus. If your subsidiaries are within the EU, then the EU parent subsidiary directive will apply, which will mean that dividends and profits flowing from a subsidiary within the EU back to Cyprus will not be subject to withholding taxes at source. They will not be subject to any dividend tax in Cyprus either. So it gives you a very, very attractive tax system. At the same time, while you have your corporation tax at 12.5%, the tax system recognizes that when you make your investment into your company, your startup, and you put up capital, you should not be penalized that you have not gone to a bank or somewhere else and obtained a loan for which you would have been a tax deduction for interest payments. So there is, you are given a credit, a notional interest recognition, so that any capital you inject into your startup is then a tax deductible, allowing you to reduce by up to 80% your tax basis, reducing the effective tax rate to 2.5%. These are some of the tax advantages. There are also incentives to relocate in Cyprus. So very much like the UK investor visa, but it's there is a much wider application. So if you are a foreign controlled company and you set up a physical local presence, then depending on your size and needs, then you are allowed an almost unlimited, in practice, skilled employees visa, allowing them to come and work for you for as long as they like. If they do so, they become non-domicile tax residents, enjoying further tax benefits and reduced income tax.
Thank you very much. So, Giorgio?
Yes, I'm going to take a little different approach. Setting up a business in Italy, it comes with a lot of advantages, especially if you're a startup. I think that first and foremost, the biggest advantage is, as I was mentioning, the land of opportunities that you will find in Italy. We have been known for being really affectionate to traditions in Italy. The last 20 years, we're trying to get away from that. I mean, we're still very attached to tradition, where we're trying to put innovation in it. That's why 12 years ago, the government introduced the Startup Act, the National Startup Act, and we are trying to do the digital transition, and we are trying to move all of the sectors in Italy of the business industries. We're trying to take tradition and put innovation in it. Believe me when I say that there is a lot of potential in this because of the variety of the different industries. Starting from the south, you have agriculture. Then you go through the centers. You find manufacturing, food, and of course fashion and design, luxury. You all know this. And coming to the north, you have the fintech, so finance, all of these is trying, well, maybe fintech a little less, but all of the other sectors are very traditional, and Italians are now starting to put innovation in it. Can you imagine the potential? Can you imagine the space for growth in that? So the first thing that to know that when setting up a business in Italy is to know what you're looking for and know that you will find it someplace in Italy. That's the part, of course, the beautiful part of being. Of course, there are a lot of advantages for startups. I will go to that. If you are a startup and you also are innovative, the government gives you a lot of benefits. So first of all, you need to bring innovation to the country, to bring innovation when you incorporate a startup in Italy. That means that you need to have at least a significant part of your expenses, 15%, dedicated to R&D, or you need to have a workforce that is highly skilled. So if 1/3 of the workforce has PhD, you are considered innovative, or you need to have proprietary software or proprietary patents. In this case, you're innovative, and you get access to a lot of benefits. First of all, there are public agencies which are funding startups which acts in strategic markets for Italy. Also, you will find, in addition to funding, there is a lot of also financing. So the government will finance your startup up to 1.5 million euros, or if they will give you a guarantee on bank financing up to 80%. In addition to that, there is a lot of other benefits for investors. There is a deductibles, as there was in Cyprus. So the capital you put in, if you're a physical person, you get 50% deduction of the money you invested. If you're a company, you get up to 30% of the deduction. So there are a lot of benefits. As a lawyer, my favorite is what we call the regulatory sandbox. This is highly used in fintech. It means that if you have a startup and you start a conversation with the government, they will allow you to breach some of the regulations, of course with certain limitation, like in a testing area. So you have a test environment where you can test your product, you can test your service, and see if it works. If it works, you bring it to the government, and they will even consider it a change in the law to have that into the country, if you can benefit the country. So I'd say that setting up a startup in Italy will bring a lot of benefits.
Thank you so much. It was very insightful. I certainly learned a lot of new information. Now, Juicy, I appreciate that you may have touched on this already, but maybe we can explore this subject in a little bit more depth. What are the opportunities for technology partnerships with Indian businesses right now?
You see, as far as I will speak first about what is the government system doing in this regard. There is a whole umbrella of accelerator programs, incubation programs.
Juicy, yes, if you can grab your mic.
Sorry. So that I thought my voice was so loud that I didn't need it, but I think it's all right. yeah, that's all right. Government officers are very fond of speaking and speaking loud. So everywhere, I think, all the countries, yeah. So there is a very well-oiled ecosystem of accelerators, incubators in the country, where there is a direct, collaboration with the businesses happening. Now, you see, when we talk of startups having collaboration with business, it has a lot of meanings, you see. It could be in terms of, equity funding, it could be in terms of giving market access, it could be having joint, working jointly together to solve a problem. So there is a whole ecosystem of, this is one part. The second is, there is a concept of center of excellence. I don't know. Since most of you are kind of, very experienced startups, I must say, because you have been chosen to being I think, honored by this August forum. So this Center of Excellence is being run in collaboration with different departments and also with NASSCOM. NASSCOM is already a body which is represented by the private sector. So their seed funding is done by the government, but thereafter it is the private businesses, they do it in 50-50 and they also give you the problems to work together on that. That's one kind of thread on which the business collaboration happens. Second is, I would like to give the example of Department of Biotechnology. I don't know whether you have heard about this BIRAC, which is, the name itself is Biotechnology Industry Research Assistant Council. Most of you must have heard about Kiran Majumdar and her Biocon company. This was a startup from BIRAC because there the business model itself is working with the private sector to solve the problem of industry. So this is, and there are, for example, if you want to go in deep tech, there are different kind of, 22 kind of center of excellence. Now, the AR/VR Center of Excellence is at Bhubaneswar, Blockchain Center of Excellence is at Gurugram, IoT startup is this Center of Excellence is in Bangalore. So they have, government has actually designated Center of Excellence. This is only I'm talking about METI. Then there is Department of Science and Technology. They also have the similar program of Center of Excellence, where the accelerators and the Center of Excellence, they collaborate together to bring the industry also to solve the problem. So because the time is very limited, I would just like to mention here about the METI Startup Hub. If you have not heard of it or if you have not accessed it, please, it's a portal where every information is given about the private sector people interested, mentorship, the program which the government is running, the challenge program which government runs, where they're bringing private partners, the businesses, the NASSCOM initiatives. So it's given in one platform. So please access it. There is a calendar of activities which is happening, and there is a lot of information there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti, so much. I'm also conscious of the time. So, Sean and Richard, I have a question for you, and it would be great if you could keep it brief. So we spoke a lot today about the UK being the gateway to Europe and Canada, being a business hub for North America. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Share some insights and advice?
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts as well, Sean, because I think some people in the UK people thinking of moving to the UK, see the UK as an opportunity to then extend into North America. Does the same happen the other way around as well?
Yeah, did you just call us a hat? We're like America's hat?
No, it's a hub.
It's a hub,
business,
yeah,
yeah,
okay,
it's a business
okay,
hub.
I thought I heard
it's not a
hat.
hat.
Yeah. We'll say we're a hat too. UK, you must be the gloves or something, like connected. But yeah, I think there's an opportunity from both UK and Canada to access the North American market just because of the strong and very long relationship that we've had for so long in so many different ways. So with different technical sharing of information, with the influx of AI, we have hubs for AI in both UK and in obviously in India and obviously in Canada, and so there's a lot of strength of connectivity there between all of our organizations.
I think interesting as well, we see the question about EU as well. Clearly we're still a part of Europe, we're not a part of the EU now, and an example we discussed earlier is there's still a great opportunity to do business within all the countries. And I mean, my business partner said earlier, the great analogy was, it's like going to an airport. We now have to queue a lot longer to get through the gate, but ultimately you get to the same country at the end. So the opportunity
we still miss you a lot, though.
Thank you, guys. I believe our time is up, so perhaps we just have about enough time for our very last question for Christos and Georgie. Perhaps we could very quickly discuss leveraging local markets as a launchpad into the EU. Very briefly, if you may.
Very briefly is...
I appreciate it's a loaded question.
Well, basically, we are a gateway. Cyprus in particular, the emphasis we put is on the gateway. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
To me, it's very easy. Italy's economy is based on small and medium enterprises. The manufacturing is all over the country at all levels, so it will be very easy to find a partner there to bring your startup to the next level, to the market, to the European market. So that's our catch.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any time for questions from the audience? No? No. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to our exceptional
Thank you, everyone.
panel.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You have closed it? You closed? Okay. See, all this information which we have given is fine, but I think it's the organizations like DGEMS, Forbes, all these can play that kind of a role to bring the international, how do you go to different markets, how different people come. It's very difficult to connect one-on-one to every country and everywhere. So I think there has to be I think that is the purpose behind this conference also, that you have all these people are there to help you. I mean, you can just get an information, but it is always better to go through an organization to just find out and land in a particular country. In India, in the government also, we have a lot of trade missions, etc. going, but that's only to explore the market. But actually, if you have to go there and do it, you need to have somebody to handhold.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, thank you very much. Thank you much, everyone.